We were on problem 17, right? We're about to get problem 17. We've done problem 16. I wish I had a little pop quiz for you. I don't. All right, so here's the pop quiz. Problem 17. What we have on problem 17 is that we just got, I think, surviving are only two cousins on the mother's side of the family, right? Two cousins on the mother's side of the family, and problem 17 on the maternal side. There's no one left on the decedent's paternal side. So, that's all we've got. What do? We look at subsection F, 201, 001, subsection F, 201, 001, F, and it says we divide the estate into two moieties. It doesn't say that we don't divide the estate into two moieties if there are only surviving collateral relations, or it could be ancestors, right? It could be grandparents, great-grandparents, etc. on both sides of the family. If there's only on one side of the family, it doesn't say keep them together, don't divide them into two moieties. That's kind of a problem. It looks like maybe clearly the two cousins on the mother's side get one half of the estate. The only question is, do they get the whole estate or not? And the statute isn't very helpful on it. So what case is authority for how we handle it? We can call it out. What case is problem 17? What case controls this situation? But Loomis is the state versus state of Loomis, exactly. And what did state versus state of Loomis tell us? What do we do in this situation? What was the issue in that case?
If no paternal kindred can be found, will the paternal moiety then go to the paternal kindred, or does it just choose?
That's exactly right. Will the paternal moiety go to the maternal kindred as well, so the maternal kindred take 100%, or does that have a sheet? Because after all, think about it. I mean, the statute never says put the two together. It says if none of the kindred described by subsections B through E survive the person's estate shall be divided into two moieties. It doesn't ever say that if there's no one on the paternal side or no one on the maternal side, the other side will take 100% of it. It never says that. So that is a pretty good argument. In the part of the Loomis case that's edited out of the book, what you don't see is the court talked about the predecessor law to this section. It was an 1840 Texas law. And the 1840 Texas law made it clear that if there are only relatives on one side, paternal, or the other, maternal, then you don't divide it into two moieties. And the relatives of that side take. That was clearly in the statute. And starting in 1848, the legislature reenacted the statute and left out that language. Every time they reenacted the statute, they left out that language. Did the court get the case right in Estate versus Loomis? You think so? Why?
Well,
Does what I tell you change? So what I tell you make it an easier decision or a harder decision? It makes it a harder decision, right? I mean, you see, all of a sudden you might think, well, this is stupid. Why would the state make this kind of argument? Because the state made that kind of argument, and Terry Byer left that out of the way he edited your case. But the court talked about that at length. Okay, why? Why did the court get the case right? I think most people agree the court got the case right. Why?
They looked to the legislative intent.
They looked to the legislative intent. What was the legislative intent? But I just told you some of the legislative intent. The legislature screwed up. That was sloppy drafting. Fortunately, I will say this. Fortunately, that's the only time they've ever been sloppy. But all these other statutes are so clear and so easy. No, they're not. They're sloppy all the time. All right, but they looked at the legislative intent. State of Loomis, and they looked at the legislative intent, and what did the court say about the legislative intent?
The purpose of the legislature to transfer title to the estate of the decedent in its entirety to his heirs, and to effectuate equitable and fair distribution of the estate among the heirs.
Among the heirs. So why is it fair and equitable? In problem 17, the two cousins on the mother's side get one half, and the state gets the other half of the disputes because there are no heirs on the father's side. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I gave you some additional information. You can make an argument. That's what the
went there though. They should have provided for an escheat in a case where they're living independently.
Okay.
They did not.
That's what the court said. And the Loomis case, and you're exactly right, and the Loomis case shows that there is a strong public policy in this state, probably in most states as well, against escheat. As the court said, it escheats. Let's look at the escheat statute. Let's look at the property code. Oh, section 71.001, the property code. Section 71.001. Someone call out where that is, please. 680. I found. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. 680. There it is. Subsection A. If an individual dies intestate without heirs, that's the situation we've got. The real and personal property of that individual is subject to escheat. And the court said, the legislature made it clear there in the predecessor statute to 71.001 that it escheats only if there are no heirs. It didn't say on one side or the other. Here in problem 17, in the estate of Loomis case, we had heirs on one side. So because of the strong public policy against escheat, because it says that the estate escheats only if there are no heirs, there are heirs, therefore they must take all of it. But that sloppy failure to say we don't divide into moieties when there are relatives only on one side of the family made the state's case stronger, I think. But the court still rejected it because there is, you see, this strong public policy against escheat. So when there are no collateral relatives on one side of the family, then the estate is not divided into two moieties. We ignore subsection F to that extent, and we just go ahead on with subsection G or H, as the case may be, and the heirs on that side of the family will take all of it. Mother's side or father's side, that's problem number 17. Okay? Question about that. So in problem number 17, the two cousins take all of it. They each take one half of, not the one half of 100%, one half of the entire estate. Okay? Oh, by the way, I think I asked, what did I ask? In this problem, how, if at all, would your answer be different if the decedent were survived by a child of decedent's predeceased spouse from a prior marriage of the predeceased spouse? That is, by a stepchild. How would your answer change?
It wouldn't change.
It wouldn't change at all. Stepchildren don't inherit, right? Stepchildren are not heirs. And again, remind me where it says in the statute that stepchildren, or in-laws for that matter, are not heirs. What? 201.001. Where does it say that they are not heirs? A trick question, Mr. Brand? It doesn't say, but what does it say? What doesn't it say that would be relevant here?
It doesn't include them at all.
It doesn't say they are heirs, and in order to be an heir, you've got to be in the statute. You've got to be in 201.001 or, if applicable, 002 and 003. If you're not in there, then you don't take, and steps and in-laws aren't in there. Okay, so it doesn't say they can't be heirs. It just doesn't say they can be heirs, and therefore they're not heirs. You have to include it. So, with that in mind, how about problem number 18? Question on 17. Is there a question on 17 or on estate versus Loomis? How about number 18? Here, the decedent is survived by all 5 nieces and nephews of decedent's predeceased spouse. Okay? All 5 nieces and nephews of the predeceased spouse. Who takes? What happens in problem 18? Who are the heirs? Does anyone? It is escheats. There are no heirs. That's exactly right. The nieces and nephews of the predeceased spouse are in effect steps. It would just be the same as if they were the children of the predeceased spouse from a prior marriage. They are steps, and steps don't take. In-laws don't take. They were related by affinity while the couple was married, but the affinity is broken once the spouse predeceases the decedent. So it escheats. And we saw that section, property code section, now I just lost it, 680, here it is. The individual dies intestate without heirs, and that's what happens. 71.001, the real property, the real and personal property of the individual is subject to escheat. And then you see the other presumptions in this. I think I asked you in connection with this problem 18. Look at the materials on page 68, just the brief materials on page 68 of the case book that deals with escheat. And you see the various presumptions. 71.002 The presumption is that someone is dead if they're absent from their place of residence for 7 years or longer and they're not known to exist. The presumption is they're dead. 003 says the presumption is intestacy. An individual is presumed to have died intestate if on or before the 7th anniversary of the date of the individual's death, or presumably the presumption of death that would relate back. The individual's will hasn't been recorded or probated. Okay, that's presumption of intestacy. And 004 tells us the presumption is intestacy, death without heirs. The presumption is there are no heirs, the estate will escheat. If an individual in that 7-year period, if the court, preceding the court's termination, if no lawful claim to the individual's property has been asserted, and no lawful act of ownership of the individual's property has been exercised. I pause it rather than in the negative. You see the presumptions. I've never once tested on the presumptions in all of my years, and I don't think this December. I just want you to know where to find it in case it comes up on the bar exam, or in case it comes up in real life, in your work, or wherever. That's where you would find it, Chapter 71 of the Property Code, provisions for escheat, and the presumptions regarding death by intestacy, and death by intestacy without any heirs. Okay, that's all in, I think, in problem 18. Did I ask? I think I asked one more thing in problem 18. Oh, how could all of your answer be different if decedent's predeceased spouse's deceased sister too had been the half sister? No, there's nothing different there. You know that. That's in-laws don't take. It's just that simple. All right, that's problem 18, right? Problem 19. Question about that. So far, so good. Pretty straightforward, just what you expected. Problem 19. All known relatives all known blood relatives of the decedent. Person surviving is a person with whom the decedent has cohabited for several years immediately prior to the decedent's death. The decedent has never married or adopted this person, nor has the decedent ever represented this person to be the decedent's spouse. Who takes? It is chief. Absolutely, it is chief. Now, if that person with whom the decedent has cohabited is later adjudged to be the spouse of an informal marriage, so-called common law marriage, commonly known as common law marriage, if that's the case, if that's the situation, then that person, a common law surviving spouse, would be entitled to all the rights of the surviving spouse, including the intestacy rights of the surviving spouse, if the person later on is adjudged to be the surviving spouse of an informal marriage. That's not the case here. So they never held themselves out as being married. So that wouldn't be the case in this situation. It doesn't matter how committed the relationship is. It doesn't matter how long they've been together. If they are not married and they've never held each other out as the other one as being the spouse, then they are not going to be adjudged to be a spouse of an informal marriage, and they cannot be the heir. They could if they were.
What is the statute for common law marriage?
What is the statute for common law marriage?
What is family code?
I should research that and get back to it. So that's a great question, and you can either ask your family law professor that, or you can look it up and tell me. I just don't know off the top of my head. So, because I just don't teach that area. You now know everything I know about common law marriages, except what if that person with this committed cohabiting relationship was of the same sex after Overgefelder? Do we have to treat the same sex? Could you have a same-sex common law marriage? I don't know. I don't think we've ever had one before. But, equal protection under the federal Constitution, that's one of the many, many fun open questions that will be working its way through the courts in the next 5 or 10 years after the Overgefell versus Hodges case this year. So this decision this year. So this summer, it was just that case was decided. I think it was decided the very last day of the term. I think they handed it down because they just didn't want to hand that down early. They want to hand it down and get out of town, didn't they? For good or for ill. So, okay, that is that's what happens there. Let's see what else I want to say about this. Oh, I know what I want to say about this. Casebook. Back to the casebook. Okay, this is it. We finished these problems. You thought we would never finish, didn't you? You thought we were never going to finish these problems. Casebook. On page 4 and 5, I said we were going to skip and come back if time permitted. Problems 1, 2, 3, and 5 on page 5, right? We're skipping them, period. So, my notes itself. Generally, time will not permit working these problems on pages 4 and 5 in the casebook. If time does not permit, and it doesn't, then simply refer students, that's you, me, I'm talking to myself here, so refer you to Jerry Byers' examples 1 through 4, which appear before the State Code section 201.001. The testacy statutes, I already told you to look at his examples and explanations, his statutes in context, and he has a bunch of examples. There are 4 examples there before section 201.001. And guess what they are? The facts of problems 1, 2, 3, and 5. So at your leisure, take a look at them, okay? He explains them all for you. I just don't have time to spend on working more of these problems. They're just various variations of this. They're probably even easier than the problems that we have been working. So I just refer you to that for your amazement and amusement. Okay, question about any of that before we go on to page, I think it's page 12 in the casebook, half-flooded airs. We're now on assignment 2. Now finish assignment 1. It's only taken a quarter of the course. It hasn't quite that long, so it just seems that long. 3 weeks, not quite a quarter. 20%? Yeah. Anyway. Again, this will be time well spent. You will get tested on this heavily in December. You'll get tested on it heavily by the bar exam. There's at least a 50-50 shot that you will have an intestacy statute question on the bar exam. So, assignment number 2, page 12. Whole and half-blooded, or half and whole-blooded, as Professor Byers says, airs. That's where we are now. Half-blooded airs. Half-blooded refers to collateral relatives. Remember, ancestors or descendants are all or nothing. I can't have half-blooded parents or half-blooded grandparents or half-blooded children or half-blooded grandchildren. They're either my steps, nothing, or they are my whole-blooded ancestors or descendants. So half-blood refers to collateral relatives who share only one of the nearest common ancestors as opposed to 2. So if we are half-blooded siblings, for example, we might have the same mother but a different father, or the same father but a different mother. We're sharing only one rather than 2 of our nearest ancestors. That's what a half-blood refers to. In England, at common law or at common canon law or in equity, half-bloods were not permitted to inherit. If I died intestate in England, turn the clock back 300 years, circa 1725, something like that. If I died intestate and I had only half-blooded relatives, they didn't inherit my estate as she did. That's not true modernly in the United States. Modernly in the U.S., half-blooded relatives do inherit. They may be heirs. But the question is how. And Professor Byers talks about this a little bit. There's a split of authority on this. The majority rule. Half-blooded heirs take a whole share. They take the same share as a whole-blooded heir would take if they come into inheritance. That's the majority rule. That's rejected in Texas. We follow the minority rule. The so-called Scottish or English rule, where half-bloods take only a 1/2 share, only half so much as the whole-blooded heirs. You might think I'm making this up. So let's look at the statute, section 201.057 of the Estates Code, and let's look at the rule. And we're going to find this on page 188. Page 188 of the statutory supplement. 201.057, collateral kindred of whole and half-blood. Aha, here we are. Whole and half-blood. read along with me if you will, please, and I will kind of orally annotate some of this, and then we'll work these problems and some of the problems in the book, and you'll see how this all works. If the inheritance from an intestate decedent passes to the collateral kindred of the intestate, and part of the collateral kindred are whole blood, and the other part are half blood of the intestate, each of the collateral kindred who is of half blood, inherits only half as much as that inherited by each of the collateral kindred who is of the whole blood. This is the minority rule. The half-blooded heirs take half share, half so much as those of the whole blood. Majority rule, we follow the minority rule in Texas, 201.057 is clear. So, but remember, they take half so much. How much do they take? They take half as the collateral kindred who are of the half-blood take half as much as the collateral kindred of the whole blood. How will we find out how much they take? Where will we look? How do we know if they look at all? If they take it all, where will we look for that? 201.001, right? That's how we know the collateral kindred take, because there are no ancestors, and they're it might be siblings, right? But it's not going to be parents, grandparents, etc. It's not going to be children. It's not going to be descendants, right? It might be siblings or their descendants, or it might be descendants of aunts, uncles, cousins, etc., descendants of grandparents. So 201.001, we look there, and how do we know what the shares are? How do we know where do we look to divide the heirs' shares up? Where do we look? 201.101, exactly right, 201.101. All the sections we've just been using the last 3 weeks, okay? All right, so we've got to read all those sections together, and then overlay, read section 201.057 if any of the heirs are of half-blood. We have to read everything we've been reading and read this as well. And that's what you do in problems 20 and 21. So what I want to do is break into small groups, but 5 minutes, 4 minutes. I mean, I think you ought to be able to do these two problems very, very fast. Problems 20 and 21. I've even drawn conveniently a chart for you, which if I were nice, I would have done on the first 19 problems, but I just never got around to that. It would make my syllabus so long. So let's just, it's 8:25. In 5 minutes, let's get back together and work these two problems. In the meantime, break into your groups. I'll walk around. I'll make maybe 1 or 2 circuits around the class, and that'll be it. And let's figure out how this works. I think it's pretty simple. Okay? And I always ask a question about this on the final exam. Okay? It's not going to be a 30-minute essay, but it might be a little identify, or it might be a little short answer, or it might be a little multiple choice question. So, right, I'll walk around. Problems 20 and 21. Half-blooded problems. Okay. 4.5 minutes.
Are the only people who do that? I guess front brother and half sister.
Okay. So, yeah.
Well, you can read it, then I was thinking, like, in my mind, I just like, half as much,
Half it, so the half sister gets half as much as the old chap. So so there's 2 of them. So what do you say? 1/2.
1/3.
Yeah. So a third is a half of 2/3. Completed our pie chart. Yep. So brother gets 2/3 and half sister gets 1/3 because that fits in the equation that the brother gets twice as much as the half-blooded prince. Okay. The other one's a little complicated.
So that would make them. Because what makes these 3 take, they're on the collateral level.
Well, the way I see my mind let's say one for me. I thought that meant, okay, now I know what that means. I thought that meant, child is divorced.
I think as a moiety, he gets it. He's like that side of the moiety. Good to go. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah. Right. So
Yeah.
on that side, the parents are dead. All the grandparents are dead. Great-grandparents don't matter. So that moiety goes here, and that one goes here. So
He gets 1/2, right? Maybe.
Okay, let's say I got there. Okay, so here's where you full blood and maternal.
maternal.
Paternal.
Maternal's on the right?
Paternal and maternal start.
Oh, paternal. So paternal.
That's maternal.
Maternal goes there.
Okay, yeah, okay, so I got her, okay, I got her, she goes, and then my husband, and then because all sides get one thing, all sides get one thing. My oldest kid, so table had to be 1/3. He's not married.
100%.
Okay, here it is. Well, that's what I was So, one part is your there are 3 siblings here. Whole blood Arthur, half blood Brenda, and half blood So,
That's why I was, I was getting
So in this situation, there has to be a brother or sister somewhere.
right. And so they have no
So on the mother's side, that cousin, those cousins are,
but yeah, he doesn't use explanation.
they're not half-blooded, right? They're not half-blooded.
Where?
The cousin and first cousin.
The brother. He has a brother.
What section of the family code?
201.5057. Oh, the family code.
The
Okay.
family code. You don't have to use it. It's different class. I bet it's a whole chapter. I mean, I bet it's a whole sub-chapter or something. I bet there's many sections. I'm always going to punt that to the family. Are we done? One more minute. One more minute. Anyone need one more minute? Yes? Okay, yes. One more minute. One more minute.
Because they get half as much as the cousin, so if you're like the half divided by.
You have to divide it down here at a different
They get 2/3 together at 1/3. They get 1/3
So there's a half blood.
I don't understand.
They
So
get
I'm
half as much, so you have this voice for the same deal as here.
So there's
They get the full, they get twice as much.
But are you supposed to do
Well, no.
By the whole thing, or by the voices that you're at?
you have to
They're not the same one thing, and it doesn't, no, I don't think so, because the way the statute is written, says part of it does not say by that. I mean, I'm supposed to say by your
Okay,
First has part yeah. Yeah, but I don't have to. Part are whole bloods, other
But
part
they're
are half.
You'll see in a second.
But they're getting
Half
on the
blood
same
gets half
level.
as much as each
So-
collateral can whole.
so if it's that way they get
Didn't want to do
Yeah.
that?
right. There's
All right.
two holes.
Okay,
And there's
ready or not, here we come. Here we go. Let's take up problem 20, right? So where are we? Forget the whole bloods and the half bloods. We won't even get to 201.057 yet. We've got to look at 201 point if there's no surviving spouse, 001 first to figure out who takes. So where are we? We're in which subsection? In problem 20. 201.001 subsection blank. Fill in the blank. What? No, we're not that.
F, G.
E, we're in E.
Yeah.
If neither person's father or mother survives the person's entire estate passes to the person's siblings and the siblings' descendants, that is for the surviving descendants of any predeceased sibling. Here we have siblings. We've got a brother and a sister. It happens to be a half-sister. Now, how would they take if they were both whole-blooded under 201.101? A. They would take half and half if they were whole-blooded. Incidentally, how would they take if they were both half-blooded, if he had only half-blooded heirs? They would take 50-50. They would, and what's your authority for that? 201.057, what does it say? Where? Where are you reading? Let's, if in problem 20, let's change the facts for a second and say that brother is a half-brother, and so we've got only half-brother and half-sister. So where is it?
It's the last sentence.
It's the last sentence, it is. If all the collateral kindred are of the half-blood, are half-blood of the intestate, each collateral kindred inherits a whole portion. So, if, in problem 20, the half-sister and brother were both halves, they would each take a whole share, 50-50. If they were both wholes, they would each take a whole share, 50-50. The problem is the half-sister is a half, and the brother is a whole-blooded brother. So, how would they take? Leave aside 057 for a second. How would they take under? How would their shares be divided under 201.101 subsection A? How would their shares be divided? And then we'll overlay 057 on that. How would the shares be divided? And why? If they weren't halves, they would take whole, and each would take a half. Why? What's your authority for that, other than your common sense? And it is common sense at this point. It should be second nature at this point, but what in 201.101 tells us that? Because they're of the same degree. That's exactly right. They happen to be up one and down one. They happen to be the second degree. They're of the same degree, so they would each take per capita. They would each take half and half. Now, overlay the first sentence of 057. But the half-sister takes half so much as the brother. And most of you did this right as I was walking around. Most of you could do it just by intuition, but it may not be that easy in real life or on the final exam or on the bar exam if they ask you this. So, Professor Beyer gives you the little parlor trick, how you count the shares. How do you count the shares? You would normally divide them into two, right? If they were both whole-blooded or both half-brothers, each would take one half. That's the denominator. Normally be two, but that's not the denominator.
Yes, sir. You assign one share to the half-blood, and you double those shares for the full-blood?
All right, you count the half-blood once for the denominator, and the whole-blooded heirs twice. Here we've got one whole-blooded heir who counts two, and one half-blooded heir who counts one. That's a total of three. We divide it into thirds. Each share is 1/3. And the whole-blooded takes twice so much as the half-blooded. 2/3 is twice as much as 1/3. A couple of you fell into an easy mistake, and that is, well, how about 3/4 and 1/4? Nope, that's 3 times as much, so that's not right. This is exactly, it's 2/3 and 1/3, and this is how we do it. It's pretty easy by doing just what Mr. Navarro suggested, which is just what Professor Fire suggested, and that is count the shares, count the heirs. And you'll get the chance to do this on the final exam, I promise you, okay? And it won't be this easy on the final exam. Okay, I mean, a lot of stuff won't be as hard on the final exam as some of these problems, but it's not going to be as easy as problem number 20. Okay, it might look a little bit more like problem 21 or something like that. So you're going to have to count those shares. Okay, so that's problem 20. Let's see if there's anything else. No, I think that's probably all on problem 20. Question on problem 20. All right, problem 21. Now, the look at problem 21. Look at the maternal side and the paternal side. On the maternal side, we've got a whole cousin, and we've got only one cousin on the it's the paternal side. It's the father's side, paternal side, and that cousin is a first cousin once removed. It's the child of the decedent's first cousin. Everyone on mother's side is more closely related in degree. There's an extra degree, an extra step on the father's side, that cousin, than on the mother's side. Does that make any difference in how they inherit? No, not under the parentalic system, not under 201.001. It doesn't make F at sec, F, G, and H. Doesn't make any difference under the parentalic system. Where might that have made a difference, you think? Well, in England it might. Yeah, it may be in England. Probably in England it would. But, well, but remember I talked about there are two systems in the United States. Degree of kinship, that's exactly right. So the degree of kinship system, in fact, I believe aside on the mother's side, there's a half aunt and half uncle, and if we were under majority rule degree of kinship, they would each take a half share, and all the cousins, which are on both sides, which are not as closely related, would be out. That's not the way it is in Texas. We're in the parentalic system, beginning with subsection F, right? We divide into two moieties, and that's what we have here. So, who takes on the father's side, and why? What's your authority for that? What? The only living person takes on the father's side. That's the first cousin once removed. It's irrelevant that that's the person who's least closely related of all the heirs in terms of degree of kinship to the decedent. We divide it into moieties. Subsection F, 201.001, subsection F. G tells us, subsection G tells us, subsection G3 tells us that the cousin, that first cousin once removed, takes 100%. Okay. What if that first cousin once removed on father's side had been only a half cousin? Would your answer change? No, because that's the only heir. So if they're all of the half blood, then they take whole shares. Okay, fine. We know that. All right. So far, so good. Understand father's side? That's the easy part. Now let's look at the mother's side. Subsection H, 201.001, subsection H, which throws us back. It means it's subsection G. It's distributed the same way, right? We again are in G, because of courtesy of subsection H, we're again in G3 on the mother's side, right? How would this be distributed if the half aunt and the half uncle were whole aunts and whole uncles? We have whole cousins. How would it be distributed if, in other words, half aunt and half uncle were whole, they weren't half, and the cousins, the descendants of the two cousins, the descendants of the whole aunt, they were all whole? How would that moiety be distributed if they were all whole? Equal. And what does equal mean? What? Not a fourth. A third. Well, right. The half aunt and half uncle, if they were whole, would take one share, each one of them, and the aunt who died, because she's whole, would each take, there would be three of them, they'd each take a third of the half, which is a sixth, the half aunts, the aunt who died, her 1/6 would go to her two children. We would divide that in half, and that would be 1/12. If they were all whole, or if they were all half, If they're not, they're mixed. Okay, so question about that before I go on. That's not what's down here. I just changed the facts on you, right? Question about that. If they were all half, or if they were all whole, then the aunt and uncle would each take 1/3 of that moiety. That's 1/3 of that half. That'd be a sixth. And the predeceasing aunt's 2 children, the 2 cousins, would split her 1/6. They would each take 1/12 of the estate. The other half goes to the cousin on father's side, which we've already distributed. That's if they were all half or if they were all whole. But they're not. There's a half aunt and a half uncle, and they're whole cousins. So, how do we divide that up, knowing that 201.057, the whole cousins split their mom's share, predeceasing aunt's share, and she would take twice as much, twice the share that the half aunt, half uncle, or half siblings would take. What do we do?
It's easy if we do it as parts.
It's easy if we do it as parts. Okay.
Each half would receive 1 part,
Okay.
and the aunt would receive 2 parts.
So the aunt would receive 2 parts. So what's the denominator now?
That's 4.
That's 4. It sure is. It sure is. Right. The half aunt gets 1 part. The half uncle gets 1 part. And the full aunt, had she been alive, would have gotten 2 parts, twice as much as the other. Count her twice, right? Right, Mr. Navarre? We would have counted her twice. So we would have 4. The half aunt and uncle would each take 1/4 of the moiety, 1/8 of the entire estate, 1/8 of the half. Wait a second. Put your hand down. Okay. Thanks, please. Thank you very much. Okay? 1/2. 1/4 of that. Now, how much would the aunt take if she were alive?
The aunt.
The aunt, the whole aunt.
Would take 1/4.
Of the whole estate, right? She would take 2 shares, 2/4 times 1/2, which is 1/4 of the whole estate. But she's dead. So she has 2 children. What would each of her children take? 1/2 of her quarter each. That's 1/8 each. If she had 3 children, they'd each take 1/3 of her quarter, or 1/12. 4 children, 1/4 of her quarter, 1/16. See how that goes. Now, question.
Okay, so what's confusing to me is that, so there's 3 of them really. There's the uncle.
No, there's not. Not for purposes of 201.057.
Well, no, I'm trying to figure out how you got to 4, because I got to 5.
Go ahead.
Okay, because
There's not 3 of them.
there's a half uncle, a half aunt, and a full aunt. So the
Okay,
full
the full
aunt
aunt's
gets,
2. Full aunt's
she's
2.
automatically 2 no matter
she's,
what.
She's 2. We're figuring the denominator. You count. Did you read Professor Byers?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter how many halves there are. You don't get that other half. They just.
How many half-blooded people there are?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you
Different.
don't get their other half. It's just, you just count the one for every
You
half.
count 1 for every half in the denominator, and 2 for every whole-blooded heir at the same level, right? The aunt's level, right?
Okay.
Or the aunt and uncle's level, and that's 4. The deceased aunt counts 2. The half aunt and half uncle each count 1. That's 4. So that's how we get the denominator of 4. And then that's easy, because if the aunt were still alive, the full aunt, she would have taken twice as much, 2/4, which is 1/2, twice as much as the half aunt and half uncle, which each took a quarter. But she's not alive, so now we've got to split hers among her children. Does that now does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm thinking it's like measuring test.
I don't know if you can think of it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can, because sometimes it's gonna give you. I mean, people's gut reaction is, oh, it must be 3/4 and 1/4. No, that's not. That's 3 times as much, not half as much. Count the denominator first. Okay, let's figure out how many shares we're going to divide it into. 1 for each of the halves. And 2, count twice. 2 for each of the whole-blooded heirs. Add that up, put that in the denominator, and give 1 over whatever that is to each of the halves, and 2 over whatever that is to each of the wholes. All right, let's see if there's anything else I want to tell you about. So is that pretty straightforward, pretty understandable? Let's see. What? Yeah, we just did the answer, right? The half aunt and half uncle each get 1/8, and had the full aunt been alive, she would have taken 1/4 of the entire estate. That's half of the moiety. But she's dead, so it's distributed among her 2 children, or 3 children, or however many, there's 2, right? So each takes 1/2 of her 1/4 or 1/8. It so happens that's as much as the half uncle and half aunt do, but that's just because of the way the facts are. If there had been 3 of them, each would have taken 1/3 of the quarter. One of them would have taken the whole quarter. Okay. So the answer is 1/8, half aunt and half uncle, 1/8. We've got to divide this in half again. 1/8 to the 2 cousins, 2 children of the aunt. Yeah.
I'm having a hard time figuring out how the aunt, if she is alive or not. At 1/4 of the entire estate?
Of the entire estate, the entire estate, the entire estate. She got half of the moiety, that's half of a half, that's a quarter. So how do you know whether I'm talking about a moiety or the entire estate? You can read, can't you? You'll pay attention to call the question, and I'll say, how will the decedent's entire estate be divided? And you'll know, oh gosh, if you have factors like 21, on father's side there's only 1 cousin, they take 1 moiety, that's 1/2 of the entire estate. Now you've done that. The other moiety, the other half of the entire estate goes as follows, and this is, these are 1/8 of the entire estate. Okay? How's that? See, I'm spending a lot of time on this, but again, I consider it an investment. Come December, you'll consider it an investment too.
If we're careless on the exam and don't reduce our down to the least common denominator, will we get counted off?
No, I'm not going to count off. As long as you get the right. I mean, if you say, 2/4 and it's really 1/2, what you'll get from me is that's 1/2. I won't count off for that because I know that you don't have to reduce it to the lowest common denominator. You don't have to do that. Okay. You might do that because it might be easier for you to do it that way, but I can. Yeah, 2/4. Okay. In other words, 1/2, right? Question mark. That's what I'll write on your exam, but I'm not. You got the right answer.
How far does the estate descend? Because I thought that you said it just went down to the initial cousin, but it looks like here.
No. I didn't say that. Who said that? The Uniform Probate Code said that. And I was going the other night. I said, Uniform Probate Code does that, but don't do it in Texas. It sends as far down. It might be the 8th cousin 12 times removed if that's the nearest person. We don't have the laughing heir statute. Okay. The Uniform Probate Code does, but not us.
So it just goes on and on and on.
It just goes on and on. In fact, it goes subsection 201.001 G3 and so on without end. And so on without end. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So it can get pretty complicated in real life. The good news is, December on my final exam, it's not going to be the 8th cousin 13 times removed. I promise. It's not going to be any worse than some of these. But the good news, the bad news is some of these are pretty difficult as it is, right?
This is the check on the ones that have together with moiety situation. You just add up.
Add them all back together. Half aunt, half uncle, 1/8 and 1/8. That's 2/8. The 2 cousins, an 1/8 and 1/8. That's 4/8. That's 1/2. There's mother's 1/2. Father's 1/2. You've already distributed to the 1 cousin. 1/2 and 1/2 equals a whole. That's exactly right. It's an excellent point, and that's what I sometimes have to do myself. Let's add it back together and see if it all adds up to a whole. Yep. Good points. Good points. Good questions. These are very fair questions. These are good questions that I want you to, if you don't understand or if you're making a mistake, I want you to make these mistakes now. I don't want you to make them in December on the final exam. This is good. So, any more questions about this, about how we do half-bloods? Let's do this. Here's one. You're going to like this. Listen to this. You're going to like this. I think. If you already don't like this, even the smirk that I have on my face, you know you don't like it. All right. This is an actual situation that one of my former students brought to me last year or the year before, and I said, this is an interesting hypo. Let's do this. All right. Let's suppose the following facts. Decedent dies intestate, and decedent is survived only by his father and his half-brother. The decedent and the half-brother share a mother. So, the half-brother is mom's child from her first marriage, and the decedent's dad is second marriage. So here is the first husband, here's the second husband, here's mom, and this is the half brother, and this is the decedent. And mom has died, and the decedent's dead, and the only people who survive are second husband, who's the father, and the half brother. Okay? How is the estate divided? How does section 201.057 come into play here, if at all? You got a half brother, so it must come into play somehow if half-blooded heirs. Let's look first at 201.001, and what section are we in? What subsection are we in? How will we distribute this? And then I want you to see the argument. In just a moment. We're in subsection what? 201.001, subsection D. What? In subsection D, what? D1 or D2? We're in D1. We divide into two portions, equal portions. One portion passes from the surviving parent, one half dad, and the other half going where? To the half brother. Okay. All right. But how, if at all, does 201.057 change it? Because remember, the halves take only half so much as the wholes. You can't be a half parent can only be a whole parent. So does father, this was the question to me, does father take 2/3 and the half brother really take 1/3, because there's a clear policy in 057, the halves take only half so much as the whole? No, not. Why not? Tell me. Yes.
Because he would have to have other siblings before that would affect how much his half-brother took.
I think you're exactly right. Can you show me the statutory language that proves that you're right? It's not, do you see the argument? That, the halves take only so half as much as the whole. The father would take the whole, and the half only takes half as much as the dad. It's 1/3 and 2/3. That's not correct. It is 1/2 and 1/2. And you're exactly right. You're Mr. Ecolette, right?
Yes.
Okay. So read, give me what it says.
Isn't it just, again, the last sentence of .057, if all collateral kindred are of half-blood of the intestate, each of the kindred inherits the whole portion?
And what's the key modifier there? What's the key adjective? You're right. What's the key adjective in that section? Well, and you can go back to the sentence, and you can go back to the first sentence if you want to too, because there's an important modifier on these heirs. It's not half-blooded. It's collateral. Sure, it's collateral, of course. The inheritance from intestate passed to collateral kindred, then the half takes so much the whole. But all the collateral kindred, there is only one collateral kindred. Dad's not collateral. Dad's an ancestor. So that's the way it is under the statute. Half and half.
The statutory language in 2101.
Is there what?
21.001.
001.
201, where it says it's divided into two equal portions.
Divided into two equal portions, right?
It sounds like that statute also answers.
Well, I think that statute really does when one of the parents survives. I think that statute probably does. We've got to overlay, but we do have to overlay 057 for the half brothers. I mean, in theory, we would. If we'd had a whole brother, then we would have to overlay this, right? If there's been a whole brother here, then this one would have taken one share, and this one would have taken 2 shares of the other 1/2, right? Times 1/2. That's not what happened here, because we didn't have that. They are all the collateral kindred are of the half-blood. There was only one of them. So, yeah. So I think, Mr. Brown, we still do, you're right, but I think we still have to read 201.001 in connection with 201.057. But Mr. O'Leary, you're exactly right. The key word there is collateral. They're all of the collateral, because there's only one of them. Because it's collateral kindred. Dad's not collateral. He's an ancestor. So that's that. Question about that? I like that.
So would it be safe to say, what I think I'm hearing, and it might not be correct, is that half only bears relevancy if there was a collateral relationship?
There was a collateral that was whole.
And that collateral could either be alive or dead.
Well, no, not if they're dead, unless they leave surviving
Right.
descendants. Yeah, if they're dead, yes, that's right. They're either alive or dead if they have surviving descendants. Yeah, that's correct. Problem 21, you saw that. They're dead, but they left surviving descendants.
Right.
If they predeceased and didn't leave surviving descendants, it's as if they never existed. Yeah, you're dead. This is it. See, this is easier than you think, right? It is. It's not
Yeah,
bad.
when you walk us through it.
Well, yeah, but that's, again, I said, I've spent, almost 3 weeks on this stuff, but it's an investment because I'll be walking you through it in December, except I won't be there. So you're going to have to hear my voice when it's going in your head doing this.
do.
Yeah, and what is my voice saying? It's so easy and simple, you have to be a moron not to get it, right? And then I say, oh no, I'm being mean. It is hard, and I know it's hard. Okay, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible.
So it's a safe assumption to say parents, grandparents, great-grandparents.
They'll never be halves.
Yeah, would never be collateral, so we can.
They'll never be collateral.
Okay.
And in fact, Professor Beyer makes that point. Look on page 12. Look at the problem. Can a person have children or parents of the half-blood? Can you have ancestors or descendants of the half-blood? Nope. They're all or nothing. If they're your spouse's descendants, but they're not your descendants, then they are steps. If they are parents or grandparents, but they are a second marriage or something like that for your mom or dad, or your grandmom or granddad, then they're your steps. It's all or nothing with ancestors and descendants. It's only collateral relatives. That's why 201.057 talks about collateral kindred. That's all. That's the only way you could have halves. Okay. Now, draw a chart below. Okay, let's draw a chart for number 2, and let's figure out how this is inherited. It looks somewhat like what I just did, but not exactly. So, let me see if I can get this. We had Barbara, who's the mother, and Ray is the second husband. That's the second husband. And the first husband is John, right? Okay? And this is problem 2 on page 12, right? And Barbara and Ray had 2 children. C, who is the deceased, who's dead, and D, who is still living. And John and the mother, Barbara, had 2 children, A and B. B has 1 child, G, and A has 2 children, E and F. Those of you who drew a chart, is that right? Is that what your chart shows, for those of you who drew a chart? No one drew a chart? This is my story and I'm sticking to it, right? All right. Now let's see. Who's dead here? Oh, well, that first question is, what is the relationship between A and R, right? A and R. Art and Ray. What's the relationship? Are they half? They're steps. That's exactly right. This is stepson and stepfather. That's exactly right. What's the relationship between B and C, between Brenda and Chad, the deceased? They're halves. They're half siblings. That's exactly right. They share one common, nearest common ancestor. It's only one. It's not 2. That they have different fathers. Okay. What's the relationship between E, Emily, and Dennis over there? E and D. That's it. They're halves. That's exactly right. That's the half uncle and the half niece.
Yeah.
Right,
Or
they're
that
halves,
niece.
right? Okay, that's it. Because they share one common ancestor, but only one, not 2. Okay. All right. Good. You're getting it. This is great. Okay. All right. Now, question 2C says Chad's parents, Barbara and Ray, died. Okay. So Barbara and Ray are dead. Let's kill off John too. I don't know whether John's dead or not, but let's just make that easy. And then Chad dies. How is Chad's estate distributed? Where are we? 201 point what? Okay. 201.001 subsection F. You think so? Subsection E. That's exactly right. If neither the person's father nor mother survives, Chad's father and mother are dead, then the person's estate shall be, then the person's entire estate passes to the person's siblings, or to the descendant and their descendants, that is, or to the descendants of any surviving sibling. And here we've got siblings, but we've got half siblings over here and whole sibling over there. How is the estate distributed using 201.101 and 201.057? Ms. Cahoon, you want to do that one?
Yeah, well, I think, I don't know.
Sure.
Okay, so I think it will be 1,
This is the whole.
I know,
These are the halves.
2, 3, 4.
Uh-huh.
So,
1,
1,
2,
4.
3, 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Divided into 4 shares.
yeah. So D will get a half.
That's right. D gets, Mr. Navarro, 2/4 if you want to reduce it, it's 1/2, right? Okay. And A and B
Get 1/4 each.
1/4 each. That's it. Okay. They got half as much as D got. Okay. Now, let's change this back a little bit. What if A and B predeceased? Fill off A and B. What if A and B predeceased C? Let's say let E, F, G, and D survive. How would we divide that?
D would still get the half.
D would still get the half. You're exactly right. We'd be dividing this into how many shares? Where are we dividing it? What level?
Well, we're still
101. 201.101, subsection B, right? We're dividing it. We're still dividing it at this level because a part are living and a part dead. Still dividing it at this level, so it's the same thing. Quarter here, quarter here. There's this quarter.
1/8,
1/8 each. That's right. That quarter gets further divided. 1/8 and 8. That's a quarter. Another quarter. That's a half. Here's the other half over there. No change. Now, let's fill off these. Okay. E, F, and G each survive C. Those are the only people who survive. They're all half-blooded. How do we divide that? Each take what? Each takes 1/3, right? Because all of the collateral kindred who survive are of the half-blood, so they take whole shares. And you remember 201.101, they all stand in the same degree alone. There are 1, 2, 3 of them. Each takes 1/3 of the entire estate. Yep, that's right. Is that right? That's right. I don't want to tell them the wrong answer. Right? Question about that. See, it's not so bad. It really isn't so bad. Look, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad.
Well, yeah, if we do it like this.
Yeah, I know. On the exam, I won't be there. And I'll be there in spirit, right? And you'll have to do it faster. I understand that. So, okay.
Can we bring the sheet of notes?
No, I'm sorry.
I know, we can draw them out for us already.
Yeah.
You can't knock people off.
Does your experience come in an 8x11 sheet?
Yeah. You can't do it because you can't do it on the bar exam. In the old days, I think I've told
But
some
in real
people.
life, we can.
In real life, you can. But you're not going to get through real life unless you pass the bar exam. And this is the problem. For years,
I wanna be a lawyer.
I'm trying to help you. I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. But the IRS, I'm here to help you. I love the IRS. God bless you. God bless those of you who are government workers too. All right. I'm a government worker now too, right? Now I can actually say that. I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. I am. I'm a state worker. But here's the deal. And hear me now and believe me later, right? But the truth of the matter is, bar exams closed books. So for years, all my upper level classes, I gave open book exams. I may have told you this. I may have told some of you this. I gave open book exams. And then a few years ago, I realized, wait a second, some people are failing the bar exam. And this is tested on the bar exam, and the bar exam is closed book. So now in all my upper level classes that are bar tested classes, I'm not making closed books. But the good news is, as I told you all, I think the other night, I think I told you all this, maybe told the other class this. You never have to cite a case name. You never have to cite a statute number for me. You have to know the rules. And there are a lot of rules in this class. I fully admit that, on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm telling you what I'm going to ask you on the final exam. You know that. You've been in my class before. I don't hide the ball. So, okay. I wish the bar examiners were as nice as I am. Right? I wish they would tell you in advance what they're going to ask. But they don't. They do some stupid, obscure question. And I go, So I've got to prepare you for me and try to prepare you for them as well as real life. And you're right. Real life, it's got the statute book. Real life it's not closed book. I understand that. I know that. But you got to get through the bar exam first. additional question? This was great. On which one? 2C? The real answer or the last typo I gave? The real answer. The real answer was the half brother took 1/2, D took 1/2, and A and B each took 1/4. Okay? And then I spun those variations. Okay, good question. Because I don't want anyone to leave without getting the answers to the real question. Other questions? Do you owe me 5 minutes, or do I owe you 5 minutes?
You owe us 5 minutes.
Is that really true or not? Is it
I
really
don't
true?
think anyone knows that.
See, I don't think anyone owes anyone.
I donated my pass for the 5 minutes.
What? You donated your pass
I
for
think
5
you
minutes.
owe us.
Well, I think the problem is, we're to start next on adopted children, and, I have a fair amount that I want to say on it, and I just, I can't do it in 5 minutes. I hate to let you out 5 minutes early.
It's okay, it's football.
It's okay, it's football. Oh, is it Thursday night football?
It's the Patriots.
Oh.
The Patriots? Really?
Those
Losers. All right, I will send you all an email to remind you of this, but here's where we're going next week. Next row 3 is on call, and why don't you finish through assignment number 4? We probably won't get there. Matt Norman is back there. He's saying, never gets all the way to assignment number 4, but I probably won't. I fully admit that because I didn't get as far tonight as I thought I was going to get. I didn't even get to assignment number 2, did I? No, I guess I did. I just got into part of assignment number 2. Okay. All right. So read through assignment number 4. Row 3 is on call. The other thing I'll tell you, when you get to the disclaimer material, the legislature amended that statute. They took the disclaimer statutes out. They adopted the uniform disclaimer law, and they put it in the property code, not the estates code. So I'll send you an email with where to look for that in connection with page 52 or something like that. I'll send all this to you in an email. All right. Remember, you owe me 5 minutes.
No, we'll have to read your email.
So today. You have to read my email.